After leaving Tibet, I rented a motorcycle and headed for Calcutta, carrying some liquid refreshments on the back to resell, via Greybeard's method of wholesale and retail. I heard that nobody had stepped into the Guardian of Forever again and had gone into the past, back toward the beginning, being careful not to touch or do anything that would change history or the future. But he sneezed, and so now our alphabet has only 26 letters, some having to do double duty, this causing many TOE forum posts not to be understood. Furthermore, it greatly delayed the discovery of the digit 0. Back in Hawaii, I attended a lecture given by Professor Pat at the university on his loss of energy of something like 1 billion universes, during which he wondered where all the energy had gone. Meanwhile, he had been taking pep pills to make up for it. Pat's 30 years theory of 000, 111 was moving right along, he having had just taken a month or so to choose a high-tech method of presenting his theory, finally settling on a #2 pencil. Currently, he is solving the Big Bang via 2 oppositely rotating yin-yangs of matter and antimatter. Not a bad theory, actually. I had to attend a barracks inspection, in which our short, 5 feet tall captain stood on a chair and checked for dust on a high cabinet. But it was clean, for I'd wiped it while not having much to do beforehand, since my bunk was always perfect since I'd never slept in it. In fact, I'd never even registered into the barracks, having found a bed frame and having gotten fresh linens from the quartermaster. And so I even had to add my name to the latrine detail so no one would wonder why it was never there. How come someone's measurement of height is always tall and never short? And why is a doorway size always so many inches wide, even when it's narrow? Nobody, did you hiccup in the time machine? Lately, like now in 2012, I have discovered that depth is the 3rd dimension, and have also cured myself of the fear of heights. But now, I'm afraid of widths, since my stomach is growing. I have also discovered that the base of reality is only 2-dimensional, but upon shining a spiritual laser-type light through it, the 3rd dimension is projected as in a hologram. I am now rearranging the waves of my interference pattern to make it look like I am much thinner. Back in the past, the white-gloved hand of the MP waved us into the fort, and we rode up to the mountaintop, stopping along the way to look behind a bush and see a sheer drop down to the licky-licky highway, where a bunch of toy cars were rolling along. Darkness fell like an anvil, and we could see the lights of Pearl City off to the west beyond the Punch Bowl, the beautiful and green National Cemetery of the Pacific. The Hawaiian alphabet has only 12 letters, 6 vowels, and 6 consonants. Nobody. Did anything else happen? We cooked some chicken fingers and buffalo wings. This doesn't make sense, nobody. On the hibachi and then settled down for dessert. I caressed Passiona's tresses in romantic rhythm to the contented sighs she sent toward heaven. She slumbered where the grass fledged the cliff, half awake or asleep in love's peaceful dream. As I loved and was loved in completeness, the earthly world with all of its foolishness, work, hurry and scurry, pain and worry, did fast fade away into nothingness.
But it wasn't the theory of nothing that we were working on, but the toe up to the thigh bone. So we assessed ourselves floating around in a far arm of the galaxy on a spinning globe in the middle of nowhere and said, "What the hell?" and stared up into the night sky, begging it to reveal its secrets. The evening caressed us in its gentle way of softness and warmth, but there is no sex allowed in TOE forums. So we implored the night, in this gentle darkness and quiet stillness, to yield her dearest secrets, to unveil before us the full truth of what she was. Much we already knew from twilight dreams that bordered on insight, and from Keats' poems unveiling truth and beauty, but we asked with our most inquiring looks and yearning hearts to gain more knowledge of the deep mysteries of all that was. Above us, fires burned the stars away. Below us, the earth turned under our feet. Within us, unworded dreams haunted our souls. Around us, the night poured blackness on the ground. So we asked of the powers of the night, not immortality, for that would have been too much, nor youth, for we already had it, but for the insight to see through the dark and on into the life of things, of what all things were made. I couldn't have ended with a preposition, an error, saying what all things are made of. However, if some know-it-all ever calls you on it, just add, "You dumb shit," after the preposition upon pretending to correct it, and to explain nobody's wanderings, as the poor lady had to say to the upper crust, after, "Where you from? Where you from, bitches?" The night answered that all was as it was because it had to be. Well, that was difficult to understand, but we did retain a presence of the night within us, vibrating with its rhythm and resonance. We sensed a soft sweep across our heartstrings, for we were willing spirits and were totally undistracted by the day's bright noise. In harmony, we realized that we each held within ourselves the seed of the other, that yin reaches climax, then retreats in yang's favor in a cyclic movement of rotational symmetry, for a rounded life is the blend of yin and yang.
We saw Greybeard returning home to Australia, which is not the world's largest island, for it is a continental landmass. Greenland is the largest island and will actually become green soon when global warming transforms it. As for the longest island, that would be Long Island. Other names of places that took 0 seconds to think of are Iceland and Newfoundland. Greybeard told us that he would have to turn upside down after he'd passed the equator, so as to become right side up in the land down under. What a joker, or is it true? The Philippines was hot and humid even in December, and so one had to make friends with the blood, sweat and tears, for only a trickle of water came from the faucets and showers. At night I noticed that Orion had 3 hunting dogs, not 2, and there were probably even more dogs south of the moon where Greybeard lives on Google Earth at S2728.775 E15302 545. Furthermore, I saw the North Star and the Southern Cross in the same sky, but the looking up at this great conjunction caused me to trip hard over a small long bump in the dirt labelled the Equator. And I did indeed turn upside down. Getting up, I stood astride the equator, one of my brain hemispheres in the northern hemisphere and the other in the southern. I'm not sure how to tell Frederick about this. On our free time, we travelled deep into the jungle and met a tribe who had no previous human contact, although they had heard that there was no point to the first dimension. They kept busy hunting and food gathering, living a 168-hour work week. I gave them the gift of the digit 0, so they could learn to relax and do nothing sometimes. So far, they only had the digits 1, 2, few, several, and many. Their only real question was about Paris Hilton. More seriously, I was stunned when they unveiled some ancient words carved into rock. The only purpose of life is to be finding your own meaning therein, but some questions still remain, such as what is life and its point. To find the answer, one must live it fully with goodness.